Tracy Take. I am your co-host Tyler here with my brother Ryan, and we are going to be giving you our Week 8 predictions. But before we get into that, this is your first time here. Welcome to the channel. Subscribe so you can see when we create new content, and also go live for our weekly shows on Monday and Tuesday night. Hit that like button and also share this video with your friends and family. And Ryan, let's get into it. We've already talked about the Thursday night game. That video is going to be coming out tomorrow. We like to have a special segment. It's going to be the Baltimore Ravens versus Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who have been struggling. And we go into depth about how one team is going to win that game and how one team is going to lose that game, which is, I think, the most generic explanation about what we talk about, I think, for a Thursday night football game. I don't know about you. I think that is, yeah.
Yeah. If you also want to watch me be an upset Patriots fan, you can go watch that video.
Yes, that's true, because we did. Yeah, we recorded that Monday night, and Ryan unprofessionally was not paying attention to all of our conversation.
I was paying attention. I just couldn't remember who the Carolina Panthers were.
You literally were not paying attention. You were like, I'm mid-sentence. You're like, oh, God.
Well, but I was listening, but I can listen and watch.
Oh, yeah. That's like literally every guy, every husband or boyfriend in America is like, I was listening to you. I was also watching the game.
Yeah, it's like, exactly. Yeah, I can do both.
But so if this is your first time here, as I said, welcome. For those who are joining us again, Ryan and I, as you know, have been having this week-long competition. We actually tied last week. Ryan was a coward and changed his pick last second to have the Raiders. Have the Raiders beat the Houston Texans, which he claimed on Tuesday. So he's a flip-flopper. It is election season, so I'm trying to have as much political talk. Yeah. Really, no, I'm just kidding. But no, so we ended up actually splitting games because I picked Indianapolis and they lost. And the Giants, thanks to Doug Peterson in Jacksonville, came back and won against Jacksonville. So we ended up splitting. Yeah. Both went 8-6 last week. And overall, if we're going week, I'm still overall, I'm 7 games up on throughout a game-by-game basis. I'm 64-43-1. Ryan is 57-50-1. Your record's improving. There was a point, and of course it was early on, but for you, I was a little concerned. I mean, you were below 500 for a couple of weeks. Of course, as I said, it was it was week 2, week 3, week 4, but that lasts a little while, and some of it's not like everyone in America has been struggling to pick Green Bay and Tampa Bay games, and so I think we talked about Tampa Bay last night, but then picking this Green Bay game coming up, it's tough. It's going to be tough to pick these teams because those were
this week. I don't think it's going to be very tough, but
yeah, okay, that's fair. This week's it's not going to be tough on their Sunday night game, but I'm only 7 games up. We are not that far. We're not even halfway through the season yet. A lot can happen. We have several games that we disagree on. Let's get into it. Let's go over to London about the European soccer, as they call it over there. That's how we call it American football over here. Denver Broncos are going up against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Do we have confirmation? Is Russell Wilson going to start? Or is he going to play?
Does it matter?
Broncos? No, that's what I was going to ask. Because if he is, I'm definitely picking Jacksonville. I'm going to pick Jacksonville either way, but then I'm definitely going to pick Jacksonville if Russell Wilson is starting. I love the Russell Wilson hate. This has just come out of absolutely nowhere. Like, it's so funny.
It really has.
September 1st, 2022, people are like, the Broncos are awesome. Russell Wilson is the greatest quarterback up there, is one of the greatest quarterbacks in the league. They are going to be great. Look out for the Broncos. No more than 7 months later, everybody hates Russell Wilson. Not even 2 months later, everyone hates Russell Wilson. You kind of have to feel for the guy a little bit, but I mean,
he's getting paid millions upon millions of dollars. I don't feel for him at all.
I don't feel for him at all. And who's he married?
Yeah, I don't know. She's
yeah. I don't feel for him at all. Who's their quarterback? Rypien?
Brett Rypien.
Brett Rypien. Jacksonville's going to win this game. It's not even like the Oh, did I mispronounce it? Oh, my apologies to
You said
anyone out there.
Rapian.
Oh, I did?
Yeah, it's not Rapian. It's Ripien.
Do we have any viewers?
No.
Yeah, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So the Jacksonville to me overall, I can't believe I'm saying this, is just an overall more fundamentally sound team. Yes, they did just change. They did just trade James Robinson, Travis Etienne. I think can come in. They can play late. Yeah, doesn't really matter too much. James Robinson's a good running back. I don't think they're missing too much with Travis Etienne. Maybe a little bit on the depth side, but still, I mean, Travis Etienne and James Robinson, in my opinion, are interchangeable. The issue, honestly, and Trevor Lawrence, this is one of the things we are seeing him grow. Still some things he needs to work on accuracy-wise and touch-wise. But once when he gets that figured out, he is going to be a quarterback to be reckoned with. And they're going to have an early draft pick here. This is a strong receiver class. I think if they get him a weapon in the offseason, another weapon for this team, because he's knowing Trevor Lawrence, he's going to only keep improving, and he fits the style of quarterback that teams need
to be successful in the NFL right now. Yeah.
The X factor, the complete X factor in this game is, can the Denver Broncos offense somehow put up 17 points? Because I think Jacksonville's going to be able to go down and score 17 points against this great Denver defense. They will be able to manufacture ways to go down and get 17 points at minimum, probably more than that.
This Jacksonville defense is opportunistic too. So I would not be surprised if they get favorable field position, if not defensive points.
Well, and exactly. So it's like, can that offense go down and score 17 points? So I think Jacksonville wins this one. I think it's going to be close. A lot of the London games have been really good. They normally are really good just because both teams dealing with jet lag, neutral site, so not too much of a home field advantage that guys can play on. Jacksonville's going to win this one. Denver Broncos are going to keep crying because they're not going to have a first-round pick this year. So I'm moving on. Going on to the next game, to the team that's going to win the NFC South. The Carolina Panthers are playing the Atlanta Falcons. And I obviously was in reference to the Atlanta Falcons on who's going to win the NFC South.
I was going to say that was a little questionable there.
Dude, how crazy would it be if the Panthers just won every single game for the rest of 2022? They trade Christian McCaffrey. And I know I started last night's episode as a joke, as obviously Christian McCaffrey is the guy who was the reason why the Panthers sucked. And obviously they traded him away. And look at their record since they traded Christian McCaffrey, they're undefeated. So they have a 1,000 win percentage without Christian McCaffrey. Just saying.
Yeah.
That being said, I'm picking the Falcons to win this game. So.
Yeah, I'm going with the Falcons as well. The Falcons will be leading the NFC South if they win this week and the Buccaneers lose.
God, that's insane. I never would have thought. Not only would they be winning, they would be 500, and Tampa Bay would be 2 games down. The 2 games below 500. Absolutely. And the Falcons, let's say they win this game, then I'm pretty sure they're Chargers the next week. And before the season, I would have thought that was a loss. But the Chargers have been decimated with injuries. Falcons have some issues at injury with cornerback, yes. But if Keenan Allen still doesn't come back, Mike Williams will definitely be out. That is, I advantage Falcons because their whole thing is running the ball. And shoot, Seattle ran all over the Chargers. So who knows what can happen with this Falcons team, and then their schedule moving forward, very favorable to say the least.
Yeah.
But we both have Atlanta winning this game. Anything else kind of that you'd want to comment? I know I'm kind of been talking a lot about my team.
I think there's a clear path to victory for the Panthers. If they can do to the Falcons what they did to the Buccaneers, stop the run, get pressure on Marcus Mariota. I know it's a little bit harder because Mariota is a lot more mobile than Brady. But I think that it'll be a close game. I just think Atlanta will edge them out in the end.
Yeah. And that's a good point. The one thing, and this is where coaching comes in, and I haven't watched enough of the Buccaneers to really get a solid opinion on if Todd Bowles is an issue as coach, especially offensive play calling, and then also comparing him to Arthur Smith. But one thing I will say just about Arthur Smith is one thing that we've seen this season with the Falcons offense is he is able to scheme plays open. Atlanta really only has two legit threats at receiver, Kyle Pitts and then Drake London. Everyone else is kind of a role player. I always butcher his name, and I've been drinking wine, so it's not going to be any good.
Zacchaeus.
Yeah, that one. He's a great slot receiver, and he fits well into that system.
That one. Yeah.
Yes. And he fits really well into that system and is perfect for an Arthur Smith system. But now they have been able to run the ball extremely well. I need to check the stats, but they're a top 10 running offense in the league because of Marcus Mariota's dual threat capability. He's not an elite passer. I'm not trying to give him that. But the fact that Atlanta now, moving off of Matt Ryan, now has a dual threat quarterback, quarterback or someone who can throw somewhat effectively and then also can burn you with their legs if there is pressure, something that they haven't had in a decade and a half or haven't had since Michael Vick. Going to be kind of a new age. Looking forward to really seeing what the Falcons do over the next couple of years. So moving on from them. Sorry, I'm not used to talking about the Falcons in a positive light, so I've been doing that the past couple of weeks. We have the Chicago Bears with their thrilling, upset, nail-biting victory from last night against Mac Jones, led by Bailey Zappi, future Tom Brady, led by Bill Belichick, who's arguably one of the best coaches, the Patriots, who is one of the best teams, arguably from what a lot of podcasters say in the league, shockingly defeated the New England Patriots, are going up against the Dallas Cowboys. Sorry, I try to keep that as short as possible. Did I do okay?
No, that was horrible.
No, okay. Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. Okay. Anyways, the Bears are going up against the Dallas Cowboys, and now we both have Dallas winning this game. So that game, in all seriousness, that game last night was kind of an anomaly, right? Like I don't think there's too much of the Bears. I think that more last night was to show a lot of the faults that the Patriots had. Then the Bears were like, "Oh, we figured something out."
Yeah, they came out, and I will give the Bears defense credit. The Bears defense played really well. They won in the trenches the majority of the snaps. They got a lot of pressure on the quarterbacks, and like the defense played well, and the defense actually is pretty good. The offense beat the Patriots with a high school quarterback draw play. Like that's really what beat the Patriots on Monday night. And Dallas's linebackers are too fast. Micah Parsons is too quick. Leighton Vander Esch is too quick. The Dallas team is too fast sideline to sideline for that play to really beat them on a consistent basis. And I think Dallas's defense shuts down this offense.
Yeah. If you can shut down Justin Fields, then you will beat the Chicago Bears. Now, the one bright spot that the Bears do have is Khalil Herbert and David Montgomery are a solid running back tandem. Yeah. But outside of that, like
you're not going to be able to run the ball and beat the Cowboys, especially after Dak comes back. They put up 24. He looked like he got into a much better rhythm in the second half.
Yeah,
they're going to be able to do things against this defense, and I just like Dallas in this game. It's at Dallas too, so
yeah. I agree with you on
that. Up next, we have Miami versus Detroit. We both have Miami winning this game. How do you think Miami gets it done?
I will say, like, I do want to pick Detroit, but Detroit these past couple weeks, and I don't think they've had a home game in about a month. I was thinking about that. And so I'm curious to see how they play at home, but they have had some injuries on the offense and defensive side of the ball. Their offense has really been struggling, and I think that's just kind of what's going to be the issue is they have really struggled to put up points offensively. A lot of turnovers. They had 4 turnovers in the last game that I know of because Jared Goff is on one of my fantasy teams, and he had 2 picks and 2 fumble losses. So there could have been more. And Miami, I think offensively it's just going to be able to overpower this defense. They have so much speed, and they are able to somewhat effectively run the ball just because of how effective and how much speed that they have on the pass game. Where
they clear
I
out that
don't
box.
know. I don't. If this is the Detroit offense from earlier in the season, maybe they would be able to keep up with them offensively. But I think this is just going to be a shootout that I think the Lions just won't be able to win. I think this is going to be a clear indicator that the Lions are taking strides forward, but how they're going to definitely need to address the defensive side of the ball come April for the draft.
Yeah, that for me is in a game with two high-powered offenses, you usually take the better defense. And I think Miami clearly has the better defense here. And that's pretty much my thought process behind it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Next is the first game that we actually disagree on, and it is the Arizona Cardinals traveling to the Minnesota Vikings. You have Minnesota winning. What are their keys to victory here on this one?
Do not have two interceptions for touchdowns thrown. So because the Cardinals would have lost to the Saints if it wasn't for that 2-minute stretch. Mm-hmm. Also, too, Andy Dalton threw a pick in the end zone on a separate drive earlier on in the first half. You look at that, this Cardinals defense is atrocious. Vikings are coming off a bye. And the Cardinals technically, not technically, but kind of are coming off a bye with coming off a Thursday night football game. So they've had a long week to prepare and rest. Mm-hmm. But I think the Vikings offense overall is just much more balanced and will be able to consistently keep just picking apart that Cardinals defense. Well, then at the same time, just because DeAndre Hopkins came back, I'm still not convinced that this offense is cured, so to say. So they had 14 defensive points. They would have, and several of those times also on points, they didn't really have too long of a drive to come through. Now, DeAndre Hopkins coming back is hugely beneficial for that team, but then they're still missing so much. This is also in Minnesota. Minnesota's 2 games up on, not 2 games, game and a half. Yeah. It was 2.5 games, actually. I think it's 2.5. Yeah, it's 2.5 games up on Green Bay. I think that they're obviously going to want to continue that trend. I think that they're the better team. I believe they're going to win this game. I think it's going to be a 31-17 victory.
Okay. See, I really liked Arizona. I thought their offense took a couple steps forward last week with DeAndre Hopkins coming back. And I think it will continue to. And I have very little faith in Minnesota's defense. I actually have more faith in Arizona's defense than I do Minnesota's.
So I will give you, over the past couple of years, this is the exact type of game Minnesota's going to lose. Yeah, they have the momentum. They're leading the division, and then they play a team like this, which is a good test to see kind of where they really are ranked, and be like, hey, let's win this game. Hey, we can definitely compete with a lot of these guys now. If we beat a team like this who's kind of getting some momentum, let's squash that momentum. And over the past couple of years, in typical Minnesota fashion, they absolutely butchered it, and they lose this game. I think they turn around. They have a new head coach. I think that Justin Jefferson is the best receiver in the league, and then Dalvin Cook is up there as one of the best running backs as well. Kirk Cousins is having a great season. That defense does have some issues for sure. I think that they're going to be able to contain Kyler Murray. I think they're just going to be able to outscore him.
Yeah. I definitely think that that's possible. I just like Arizona in a shootout because I think they have a better, more opportunistic defense. So yeah. And then up next is the Las Vegas Raiders traveling to the New Orleans Saints. This one, Las Vegas seemed to find a stride last week for me on offense against the Houston Texans. It is against the Houston Texans. But Devontae Adams and Derek Carr seem to have things worked out, and Devontae Adams didn't push anybody over after this game. So for me, I think that they're getting coming off the bye week on a good foot, and
yeah. So I agree. The key to me as well is if the Saints defense didn't seem like it was starting to reel a little bit, they've given up over 24, 27 points, I believe, over their past couple of games. I might have swayed towards New Orleans for this one, but Josh Jacobs now has had 3 games with over 143 rushing yards. He's had 6 touchdowns during that span. And that is critical because the Raiders have consistently struggled to run the ball over the past couple of years. They've been a clear one-dimensional team. Now that you add Devontae Adams to their great list of receivers that they have and adding that to that role, I just think that they're going to be too much to match. Similar, though, to Minnesota, this is absolutely going to be a game that the Raiders would blow. This is, to me, if I'm being personally honest, would be a game that I could see myself switching. Probably not, but just because this just seems like the Raiders have just been inconsistent over the past couple of years. I know they have a new coach in Josh McDaniels. Mm-hmm. That being said, I'll have to look at it throughout the week, but as of right now, I think that the Raiders will just be able to outscore Andy Dalton and Saints, especially also if Marshawn Lattimore doesn't play again.
Yeah. That's a big factor too. Nobody can contain Devontae Adams, but you can certainly have players that can somewhat limit his production.
Yeah.
And I think Marshawn Lattimore is in that caliber.
Yeah.
So another thing too, I really like what the Raiders are doing on the ground. Josh Jacobs is having a phenomenal season. He's getting his money's worth.
Well, and it's just and look at a team like the Falcons, just as an example, like we can't throw the ball, but look at how, like, when you can run the ball and you can just take 4 yards at a time, potentially break off a big running play, get that defense gassed, it is so much more effective than being able to just absolutely, in my opinion, I guess if it results in a touchdown every single time, it doesn't matter too much. But to have that capability is way more impactful than to have an elite passing offense with no running capability whatsoever. Mm-hmm. This offense now is unpredictable. Be like, all right, you want to put 7 guys in the box? Then we'll throw to Devontae Adams, Hunter Renfrow, Matt Collins, Darren Waller, Fabian Moreau. Doesn't matter. All right, you want to defend the pass? All right, and only put 6 guys in the box? Okay, then we'll hand the ball off to Josh Jacobs. Then he'll go run for 150 yards. So it makes it really tough to compete against. And so I think as they start to get better, I think this Raiders team definitely can be fighting for a wild card spot.
Yeah, definitely. Next, my New England Patriots are traveling to New Jersey to take on the New York Jets. Kind of talked about a little bit earlier in the show. Patriots coming off a tough loss. We both agree on this one. Why do you think the Jets are going to pull this one out?
I think just consistency. I mean, I can see your boys winning this game, but I mean, this Bears defense isn't really that good. The Jets defense is significantly better, and they definitely had a tough time moving the ball. And it caused a lot of turnovers. And in all seriousness, who's going to be the quarterback next week for you guys?
I don't know.
You know what I mean?
Patriots, this was one of the things I want to talk about during this and why I picked the Jets.
Okay. Yeah, so for me, I'm going with the Jets. They seem more consistent. They did lose Breece Hall, but they do still have Michael Carter. They're bringing on James Robinson. He'll have a supplemental role, I would say, this week, just so that he can get used to the system. And a playbook that they have there. But still, when he does come into the game, I'm sure he will be effective. The thing I think that is huge for me is you guys don't really have any elite receivers, and that Jets defense is coming on strong. They have a solid front 7 led by Quinn Williams, and then their secondary led by Ahmad Gardner is only going to improve. So I can see Ahmad Gardner being I don't think he plays the same as Darrelle Revis, but I think he could be their next.
To me, he's more Jalen Ramsey than Darrelle Revis.
Well, but he would be their next star corner lockdown guy, if that makes sense. So that's I don't know enough about what style of play that he plays, but Darrelle Revis was the guy.
Revis style.
Yeah. So he was the guy when he was there, and he's turning into that guy for them.
For me, I think this is going to be like a 17-10 game. I think it's going to be very boring. The Jets defense and the Bears defense are very similar. And that gave the Patriots a lot of fits last week, especially David Andrews is going to be out with a concussion based off of a dirty hit by Mike Pennell. And then none of that to me stacks up to, I think, the controversy that Bill Belichick has caused with this whole quarterback situation, with benching Mac Jones after 3 possessions, ending on a pick, and then playing Bailey Zappi, who played just as bad. It's a locker room divider that's going on in New England, and I think this, like, what happened last night was worst case scenario for the Patriots, and I think their season it was looking up going into the game, and it took a turn for the worst.
I will say, I mean, like, not joke aside, like, I'm being dead serious. I didn't even think about watching last night's game because I thought it was going to be an absolute train wreck. Of like I thought the Patriots were going to win by 35 points. Like, I like when I saw the score, then when we started recording, I saw how upset you were. I looked at the score. I was like, oh my gosh, like they're actually losing this game, and then it didn't get better.
It should have been 47-14. Or sorry, 44-14. Into the first half, John Jones held Cole Kmet in the end zone, or else that would have been a touchdown. And then the Bears needed on 4th down at the end of the game instead of running it in for a touchdown.
You know, that's an interesting discussion to think, because I did see, because I was out when I started to look at it, and like the Bears were driving. It was 17-14, and that's an interesting rule change, or that's an interesting rule, because I think it is hugely detrimental to that offense. Like, so in that scenario, you're on the opponent's 20, 10 seconds left.
Have more time on the clock. Like,
well, but then I guess strategically, your defense be like, hold everyone. Just hold everyone. Who cares if it takes 8 seconds off the clock? You want that happening instead of only giving up 3 points. You know what I mean? Like, and so now it incentivizes penalties, because then, all right, fine, we'll give up a 5-yard penalty if it means you only get a field goal instead of potentially getting a touchdown.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So like, if I'm the defensive coordinator, and I agree with you completely. I don't think that they should add on clock, but then at the same time, it is also, I would say, completely unfair for the offense. Be like, now we're driving, and I guess it's one of those things that's like, it's a loophole in the rule system. Be like, we'll give up a 5-yard penalty if it means 8 seconds come off the clock. Then you guys have to kick a field goal. Because just looking back on the drive, and I wasn't watching this part, but looking at the ESPN ticker, you guys were not stopping Chicago on that drive at the end of the first half.
We didn't stop Chicago on any drive.
Well, fair, but on this drive specifically, they got the ball and they were just consistently moving the ball down the field. There was no stopping them. Then eventually, the only thing that stopped them was literally the clock, and it was because of that defensive holding penalty. Yeah. And I agree with you that you can't just add on clock, but then at the same time, it's not fair to that offense that there's a loophole in the system on kind of what.
There's no way to solve that.
Yeah,
because even if you give them one untimed down, then that's like, all right, they get one untimed down. Like, it's not.
Yeah, and wait. So are you saying that there should be an untimed down, or are you saying that like then that would be kind of like 5-yard penalty and an untimed down? And I will say one thing.
There was 3 seconds left on the clock after. So they got a 5-yard penalty and a first down, but it's like you can't run another play because. Yeah.
So then should they get an untimed down on top of that? Because I would say then on top of that, because
I have no sympathy for the offenses in the NFL because all of the rules in the NFL rulebook favor them.
Yeah.
So for me, like. The defense can have that one, and it's also like without adding more time onto the clock and just like resetting it, resetting the play, and putting the time back to what it was when the play started.
Yeah,
I don't think that there's really like a fair way to like go about it.
And I agree. Like, I don't know what the fair way is to go about it. It was just something I was thinking about, and I've seen this in the past to where it is like. That kind of so it's like, this is clearly a penalty, but then it's like the defenses are now using this penalty to their advantage, when in actuality that penalty should be a detriment to the defense. But it's like in that specific scenario, works super well for the defense. Like if there's 1 second left, or a couple seconds left, and it's just a 5-yard penalty, and the game's on the line. Like, I'm the defensive coordinator, it's like, hold the guy, give up a 5-yard penalty, and then they have an untimed down. And so there's like, it's that play, then it's done. It like ends the game.
I mean, but so the Ravens did this a couple years ago to win a 1-point game. That like they were going to punt it, and there was like 18 seconds on the clock. So they literally held everybody on the punt team. Like everybody that came after the punter just got thrown to the ground and held.
Yeah.
Right. Well, it's like, and they did that for 18 or 20 seconds. And then it's fourth down with an untimed down, so they just knee it and the game's over. Like, that's like, there's ways around it. There's also ways to waste time off the clock in the fourth quarter by the Titans did this to the Patriots a few years ago in the playoffs.
I know exactly what you're talking about, and I thought that was absolute bull crap. Like, living in Nashville, and I'm gonna say, like, I'm rooting for Tennessee to beat the Patriots, and I saw that they would cause the false. It was a false start, right?
Yeah, and so then the play clock would reset. They wasted an extra 50 seconds off the clock because they took a delay of game, but the clock was running, so the clock kept running for another 25 seconds.
Yeah.
And then they got a false start, so then the clock ran again for another 25 seconds.
Yeah, absolute bull crap. Like, I remember thinking that and be like, I'm rooting for the Titans, but as a fan of the sport, that's absolutely ridiculous. Like, how, like, it's like, within the rule book at that moment, totally legal. However, the next offseason, that needs to be changed. And I think this is something similar to them with the holding penalties as well. Like, going up against, like, just in this example, be like, if a team's driving and we're just trying to get to halftime, only going to be down 6 points instead of 10 points, which is a big deal. It's just one possession versus two, and be like, there's a couple seconds left. Let's just hold these guys. So then now there's no time left, and then they have to force a field goal. It's one of those. It's like you're using the rule books to your advantage when normally it's not in your advantage. And I don't know. I think a hold every time. I don't know what the best. I haven't figured out what the best solution to be is. But I think it's unfair to that offense. I don't know if there will be either. And maybe I'm just complaining about nothing. But I just thought it was an interesting scenario where it's like, that doesn't seem fair. It definitely seems gamesmanship that's going on that might need to be addressed, so to say. Yeah. And it's not just the Patriots' fault. I've seen lots of teams do it. I've seen the Falcons do it. I've seen a lot of teams do it. So it's like, how can we address that to where then it's the most fair on both sides, to where teams aren't actively causing these penalties, just so then there's not any more time on the board. So.
Yeah. Long story short, the Jets are going to win in week 8. Up next is a battle of Pennsylvania, and no, we're not talking politics. Pittsburgh Steelers are traveling to the Philadelphia Eagles in what should be a lopsided matchup, but I do think that there is a path to victory here for the Steelers, and I think it's that defensive side of the ball. They held Miami to 16 points last week, even though Mike McDaniel tried to give them the game.
But that Philly offense is not the Miami offense. Miami's offense can be very explosive, but the Miami offense struggles, I think, to be multidimensional. The Philly's offense is top 5 in the league, and I'm being conservative with that statement, just because of how great they are running the ball. And then Jalen Hurts is playing extremely well. And he has great receivers to throw to. So
the thing is with Miami's offense is they just throw haymakers. Like, there's no jab in Miami's offense, right?
That's fair.
And like, they just throw haymakers.
Well, and that's
Philadelphia lulls you to sleep with the jab. Every now and then they'll throw a right cross, and then all of a sudden they'll just hit you with this uppercut or like big overhand right, and it's just like it comes out of nowhere. But it's really hard to defend because they just are constantly chipping away. They're constantly running for 4 yards, running for 8 yards, running for 6 yards. Like it's it's just a slow beat down throughout the course of the game. And I think that's why Philadelphia's offense is so good, because they can hit those home run balls, but they can also win the grind out games. So we both have Philadelphia winning this one. I really like what this Philadelphia team has going. They are clearly the best team in the NFC right now.
I like Philadelphia. I like Coach Sirianni. I like Jalen Hurts. I like Miles Sanders. I like Jason Kelsey. There's a lot of personalities on that team. Shoot, I like Darius Slay the second. I think that's awesome. He'll go pick off a ball, and he goes and gives it to a celebrity. But you know what? He's going to go give that ball to someone in the crowd, and he's done it multiple times. I mean, I just like the way that they play football. Yeah, this crowd.
You like the way they slay?
I like the way they slay in honor of Santa Claus, who those fans threw snowballs at in the 80s. But and you know what? They'll do it again, and I'm sure they will be proud of doing it. And
they are proud of it.
I don't blame them at times. And so, because when I get a lump of coal at Christmas, I want to throw snowballs at Santa. And so, but in all seriousness, though, both of those teams, or both sides of the ball for Philadelphia, are just top notch, top 5 in the league. And if you have 2 top 5 offense and defenses, you're just a tough team to beat. You're just an absolute tough team to beat. The only reason why that game was with Dallas, and I think Philly's last game, was because that third quarter things got a little shaky. Cooper Rush and Ezekiel Elliott started to get on a roll. Other than that, they dominated that game. And they've dominated nearly every game that they have played in. So I think they're going to dominate this one. And that's another thing. That's another thing as well. I don't have their schedule up, but from what I can remember, their next 3 or 4 games are very winnable games. Like they would be upsets, I think, if they lost. So,
okay. Their next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games should be easy wins for them. Steelers, Texans, Commanders, Colts, Packers, Titans.
Yeah, I mean, maybe the only one, the Packers, Titans, maybe only just because of the personnel and the historical trends of the past couple of years on how those teams have been playing in November, early December. That being said, though, seeing how both of those teams are playing right now, Philly wins. Philly wins all 6 of those games.
Yeah,
5 of those. I forgot how many games it was, but 5 or 6 of those games. It was 6 games. They win all 6 of those games. They are 12-0 after that Titans game. When's their next legit tough game?
They play the Cowboys after.
Win. That's a win. Even with Dak Prescott, they're better.
They play the Giants, which could present a different threat.
Is that the first time they played the Giants?
Yeah, and then they play the Giants in Week 18 as well. But then, so after the Packers, after the Titans, it goes Giants, Bears, Cowboys, Saints, Giants. And I'm like the rest of their road is pretty easy.
The Giants, I think they're going to get a wild card spot. I think they have enough. Their Giants are 6-1, right? With their win over Jacksonville, they haven't had a bye yet, right?
They're 6-1, yeah.
So I think they get a wild card spot. I don't think they beat Philadelphia. I think Philly goes. It's so tough to say a team is going to go undefeated. But I look at those games though, and I look at how Giants are playing, and the Giants are winning these close, hard-fought games against teams that have questionable histories and clear flaws. They should have lost to Baltimore. They did lose to Dallas. They could have lost to Carolina. They should have lost to Tennessee if it wasn't for a last-second field goal. Some clear faults. And Philly hasn't had any of those issues. They've beat some solid teams.
They had a really close game in Arizona, who's not a good team.
Yeah, they led the whole way, though, didn't they? Like, it wasn't a last-second thing. I'd have to go back and look.
It was close. It was 20-17. I know they won off a last-second field goal.
Okay. All right. Well, that's still fair. On the road in the NFL, it's still going to be tough. And that's what I'm saying. It's so tough to say that they're going to win these next. it is not out of the realm of possibility that the Eagles go undefeated the rest of the way.
Oh,
Just
no,
with
not at
their
all.
schedule. Just with their
Based off of
schedule.
how they're playing, I'm probably going to pick them the rest of the way.
Probably. Yeah. I agree with you as well. Something major would have to happen.
Yeah.
So
again, long story short, Philly's going to win. Up next, battle in the AFC South. Tennessee Titans travel to take on the Texans. We actually disagree on this one. You have Tennessee winning. I have Houston winning. I really like the way Houston has been playing, given how young they are. And I think Tennessee is the perfect team for them to take advantage of. I think Tennessee's on the decline, and I think Houston is kind of on that like come up a little bit. So yeah.
So I don't disagree with you at all. Houston beat Tennessee last year, not twice in Tennessee. I don't think. No, I think the Titans beat them. I think at the end of the season last year with the field goal, I believe. But either way, I said this last week, and I said this yesterday. I was kind of surprised that Indianapolis keeps losing to Tennessee because Tennessee on paper, I don't think is that good. But you know what? They keep winning these ugly games. I think
They're
this
like
is
the
going to
Giants of the AFC.
I think this is going to be an ugly game. They're just going to beat the Texans into a pulp and just smash mouth football. And I think they win. The Titans have proved me wrong enough this entire. I don't think I picked the Titans. I'd have to go back and see when I picked the Titans. I don't think I picked them that much this season. One thing to look out for is Ryan Tannehill's health. He did roll his ankle pretty well in the last game, but he came back and played. And so see how his mobility is against the Texans.
You picked him in week 5.
So one time. I picked him one time in 7 games.
That was the last time you picked them.
I didn't pick him week 1, week 2.
You didn't pick him week 4 or week 3. Yeah, you picked him one time.
So I think I probably picked them the same amount of times I picked the Texans. So I'm going to go with the Titans on this one.
Yeah, I'm going with Houston. I really like what they have going on there. What's the name of their rookie running back?
Dameon Pierce.
Dameon Pierce. He's on my fantasy team. I just couldn't remember. Damn.
You don't start him, I can tell then.
Actually, I did start him last week, and he got a touchdown. So good for him. And me, I guess. But I just like what they have going. I think that run game has been going really well. What they have on the outside in Nico Collins and Brandon Cooks, I think is a really good tandem. And Davis Mills, he looks good. I like what they have in Davis Mills.
Mm-hmm.
His goal is to play them out of a top 5 pick, so they cannot get CJ Stroud or Bryce Young.
Has he stated that specifically, or you just think that's the goal?
I think that's his goal. Because if they can get CJ Stroud or Bryce Young, he gets replaced.
Is he? Are they 1-4-1?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, 1-5-1. I think.
I thought they might have had a bye. I can't remember.
Did they? Oh, they did. They are 1-4-1. Yeah. Because I didn't play Dameon Pierce last week.
I'd have to look at their schedule. And that's where it's like I wouldn't put it past Houston to win this game. Like divisional games are always tough, but the Titans just win. They just win in kind of crazy ways. So it doesn't make sense. So I'm just gonna start sticking with the Titans now. So
yeah. I like Houston in this one. Next, we have the Washington football team traveling to the big barn in Indianapolis, Lucas Oil Stadium, taking on the Colts. We also disagree on this one. Who do you have winning here?
So I have the Colts winning. My in-laws live in Austin, Texas. Sam Eilinger played at Texas. So I'm going to go with the Colts on this one.
Yeah.
No, but and also obviously Matt Ryan's being benched. This is kind of one of those things. Who's the team?
Oh, we lost you. We lost you right as you were saying something important. We have no views. What is up? We are waiting for Tyler to join us. Oh, there he is.
Oh, sorry about that. I thought
You're
I got
good.
this. I thought I got this internet fixed.
No, you're good. Yeah,
Apparently
yeah.
not. Go ahead.
You were talking about Sam Ehlinger, and you said what was the team that, and then you cut out.
So I was going to. What was the team that, like, when there was a change, it forced them to be more balanced? And the team that actually came to my mind was the Patriots when Bailey Zappi had to start, and so it forced them to really start to focus on the run. It forced them to start have a more balanced offense. Because if you go look at this Colts offense, and how they have been playing as of late, Matt Ryan's had way more pass attempts than he needs to be having. Jonathan Taylor needs to have 20 carries a game, 25 plus carries a game, because that's where this offense needs to be running through. And I think Sam Ehlinger, might do that as well. On top of that, I don't trust Washington. Yes, they are on a 2-game winning streak. Taylor Heineke is now their starting quarterback with Carson Wentz being on the IR, which is actually, I do find it quite ironic that with the Colts and now playing Washington, the former quarterback Carson Wentz won't be playing, and quarterback Matt Ryan won't be playing. So it really the intensity of this match, of like, a quarterback playing against his former team against the new quarterback is not there at all.
No,
this game has lost all of that intensity. So
it's I hate when they do those matchup things anyways, because it's completely different teams. I guess maybe there's a little bit of like a grudge match there.
A little bit.
Whatever.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think that those marketing pitches are stupid. I doubt that there's any ill will between that. I have Washington winning, and I'm a big fan of Taylor Heineke. I think the team plays harder when he's out there. You just saw the mood switch compared from 2 weeks ago to this week in that offense. Yeah. I think that they're more explosive with him out there. And I just like Washington. I think they will be able to limit the running attack of the Colts. Personally, the Colts have not been doing a good job of running the football this year when they have had the opportunity to do it. So I think that, coupled with Washington's actually pretty good run defense, I think Washington pulls this one out.
I like it. No, I'd like it's going to be a close game. This is definitely going to be one of those coin flip games. For me, you brought up the running game. The only thing, and absolutely correct me if I'm wrong, you take Jonathan Allen out of that defense, and that defense is nothing. And so that's where I think that they will be able to run the ball.
They're still okay.
Well,
they're still
okay, but it's like even the Colts that they have the ball. They're running the ball away from Jonathan Allen. I think that they're going to find a rhythm and find some success. The last time they played at home against Jacksonville, they did find a rhythm on offense. I think it just might be a little bit different game with Colts being at home, Washington being on the road.
The Packers have a much better run game than the Colts do this year, and the Commanders did a really good job against them, against the run. So for me, I think that they will be able to do that and put the pressure on Sam Ehlinger in his first professional start. So we'll see. I was a big fan of Sam Ehlinger coming out of Texas. He's a fiery kid. So we'll see what he has. Next up on the list of games for next week is the San Francisco 49ers traveling to LA for a home game to take on the Rams. We both have San Francisco winning. How do you think they get it done on Sunday?
Same way that they beat the Rams in the past couple of regular season matchups, running the ball, scheming much better than what the Rams are able to offer. Rams are very one-dimensional on both sides of the ball. They got Cooper Kupp on offense, and then they have Aaron Donald on defense. Jalen Ramsey sucks. He has not been playing well. Now Christian McCaffrey, I think, will provide an impact a little bit. I don't think he'll be as effective as once when he gets fully up to date on his playbook with San Francisco, but they will be able to utilize him enough. And shoot, they decimated the Rams a couple weeks ago. Of course, it was at San Francisco, but I mean, come on, let's be honest. Any home game in Los Angeles for both the Rams and the Chargers is a home game for the opposing team. So there's going to be so many San Francisco fans that are there. This is just going to be another home game for San Francisco. The 49ers are going to go in and win this game, just like in convincing fashion as how they did against the Los Angeles Rams a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. Same thing for me. This Rams offensive line is not good. They have very little depth behind Cooper Kupp, if any, at wide receiver. And this defense, if you can get around Aaron Donald, there's not a whole lot of talent. For me, the Rams are a cusp playoff team in the NFC, and right now I think they're on the outside looking in.
You have the Falcons right there.
Honestly, they played earlier this year, and the Rams are a better team. It's not that big of a difference.
It's not that big of a difference, but they're still a better team. The Rams deserve to be more in the playoffs as of right now than the Falcons do.
Yeah.
Let's move on, though, to the last Sunday afternoon game. It is going to be the New York Giants versus the Seattle Seahawks. The last game that we disagree on. We disagree on 4 games this week. And I'm not going to lie. I can see either one of these teams winning. Yeah. Who do you have winning and why?
So I have the Giants winning. The Giants, similar to what you said about Tennessee, they just find a way to win these scrappy games. They have a good defense, a really good defensive front, and they can run the ball really well. Receiver-wise, they're very limited, and they struggle to throw the ball. However, Daniel Jones, when they on a lot of set passing plays, ends up scrambling. And I really like what Brian Dabble has there in the Giants. And I think with a more balanced offense coming in the future, this team could be a really good team. But for now, I think they're a run-first offense with a strong defense, and I think that's going to be the recipe for success against Seattle, because I think if they can wear down this defense and keep their defense fresh, I think the Giants come out victorious.
Great points. Don't disagree with any of those. The Seahawks defense is definitely struggling for sure. I think this is one. I think the issue for the Giants is that they don't really have too much of a threat throwing the ball. They are very one-dimensional in running the ball. And when you look at the Seahawks offensively, I think are very diverse. They can throw. Geno Smith has been playing very well. Now they have lost DK Metcalf, it seems like, for several games. But Kenneth Walker as a running back has exploded onto the scene. Tyler Lockett is a consistent veteran. And then you also have Noah Fant that has turned out. Marquise Goodwin has took advantage of the opportunity of DK Metcalf going out to score some fantasy points and just have a good game overall. I think another thing, too, with the Giants is, and I would need to confirm this with their schedule, but I think this is by far going to be the best coach that they have played against. Mad props to Pete Carroll for what he has done with this team, because I, myself included, absolutely wrote Seattle off this entire season. And the fact that they are leading the division right now, they are just in a rhythm. I think he has that team playing. I think he obviously has that team playing. I think he has that team playing on a level that they haven't played in a little while.
Yeah.
Seahawks at home, I believe they're going to pull this one out. I think it's going to be a game like how you talked about, but I think this time the Giants are on the losing end.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I could see that. I think the Seahawks definitely bring the more explosive offense. But to me, sometimes that offense can be boom or bust. They either go all the way down and score a touchdown, or they throw 3 incomplete passes and 3 and out. So it's like there hasn't been a whole lot in the middle. And if you start playing the field position game with the Giants, that is how they have turned all of these games into wins. Playing the field position game, letting their defense get after you and do those do that and force turnovers, get chunk plays on offense, and grinding that defense down. So for me, I think the Giants pulled this one out, but it's a really, really close game.
So I will say one thing in favor of the Seahawks, and this isn't a knock on this offense, but when the last time the Seahawks did play a team that was very QB run heavy and had no, the Seahawks held the Arizona Cardinals offense to only 3 points the last time they played. It was a 19-9 game. The Cardinals scored a defensive touchdown in the second half. So that's where they have been able to stop these kind of run QB offenses in the past. They have done it before. So I think they might be able to do that again against this team, because Daniel Jones is by no means Kyler Murray elusiveness-wise. That also being said, Saquon Barkley is one of the best running backs in the league, and the Cardinals don't have that at all. So it's a little bit easier to defend, I think, when it comes to running out of the backfield for the Seahawks. But they have done it in the past, because Daniel Jones has been playing really well, and he has been running the ball very effectively. He looks very Josh Allen-esque. It seems they just need to get some receivers. They just need to get some receivers.
Yeah, and frankly, I think that is a good comparison to Josh Allen from like 2020 back before Stephon Diggs, and like they were really struggling because 2019 before Stephon Diggs, and like you saw the talent. But then you were also kind of like, well, like the talent's there, but the production's not. Yeah. So that is a good example. I think that they should definitely get some receivers in there. I still think I don't know. To me, they're more physical in the trenches. This actually is a game I'm really excited to see. I saw an interesting thing. There's only one game this entire week between two teams that are both above 500, and it is the Seahawks and the Giants.
Never would have thought that.
Never, ever would have thought
imagine that. How much money would you have bet? Be like, I guarantee you
all of it.
Week 8, if there are two teams that are below 500 that are playing
above.
Never would have thought.
Two above 500 teams.
No. I know. I would have guaranteed that both these teams would be below 500 at this point in the season.
Yeah.
I would have thought this game would have meant nothing whatsoever. But actually, when it comes to wild card implications, this is a big one. This is a very big game.
Yeah.
So never would have thought that.
Yeah.
So.
But up next. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say another thing I never would have thought is the fact that the Sunday Night Football game is going to be an absolute joke. So we have the Green Bay Packers going to Buffalo.
Yeah. To me, it could be close, possibly.
No.
I don't think Buffalo's going to come in there and absolutely stomp the Packers.
Von Miller is going to eat Aaron Jones, AJ Dillon, and Aaron Rodgers for breakfast. The 3 A's. He's going to AAA. He's calling AAA. Yeah. He's going to have them for breakfast. Okay. I mean, Von Miller and that defensive front is going to destroy that team, because what Buffalo's going to do is they're going to put 7-8 guys in the box, and especially if Allen Lazard doesn't play,
that's
how is Green Bay going to score points against this Buffalo Bills defense? I would love to be proven wrong. I would love for this to be a game, because this before the season talked about how this is going to be a great game, potential Super Bowl preview game, and the Packers suck. They are awful.
I agree. If Allen Lazard does not play, that makes this 4 times harder for the Packers. But I do think that the Packers will be able to run the ball some, because when the Bills' defensive line is best is when they know you're going to throw it and they can pin their ears back and come after you. They are more susceptible to the run. So to me, the Packers need to find a way to turn this into a 24-21 game.
That's still too high scoring. They need to figure out a way to have it be like a 13-10 game.
Well, that's not possible with the Bills.
Absolutely. The Bills are going to be able to. I mean, shoot, you had Washington put up 23 points against you. You had who did they lose to the week before? They lost to the Giants. Put up 27 points in London. There was another game. There was a game in between that I thought that they lost. Now, of course, it wasn't all offensive, but the Jets held them to 10 points, and then Jets scored 27, I think, with a block punt in between. So, I mean, to me, there's no way the Bills, with this Bills offense and how effective it is, I mean, there's no way the Packers keep up with this.
The Jets.
Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah. It was 27-10, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, there's no way the Packers keep up with this game. I would love to be proven wrong. I would love for this to be the 41-38 shootout game that we all hoped it would be before the season started, but it's not. Mm-hmm. It's going to be 41-8 or 41-3. Like, it's not going to be a game at all. Prime time in Buffalo. I mean, the Bills Mafia is going to be – that place is going to be wild.
The only thing is – from what I have watched, the Packers' big weakness on defense has actually been the run game and not the pass, and that is what Buffalo wants to do, is throw the ball.
Yeah.
To me, there are ways that I think the Packers can slow them down. For me, I just think offensively they're very limited, and if they don't run the ball at a top 99th percentile level, there's no chance that they have. They have to run the ball extremely well. That will help the pass rush stay off Aaron Rodgers and allow the receivers more time to get open.
Yeah. So
and if Allen Lazard doesn't play, then that is a moot point.
So I would say, I've been critical of the Bills running game, and I still am. But if we're looking at from last season to this season, they have shown improvements, in my opinion, from set running plays. So maybe they can build off that and take advantage of the weakness of the Green Bay's run defense, and then on top of that, that might open up the passing game. So there's just no way that the Bills are going to be able to, or the Packers are going to be able to keep up with the Bills.
Yeah, no, I agree. If you can't tell, we both picked Buffalo to win.
Yes. Oh yeah. I guess we did. We didn't specifically say that.
Yeah. The Monday night game, which I think is going to be a little bit better. The Cincinnati Bengals travel to Cleveland, Ohio to take on the Elves.
Long bus ride. Bus ride.
Long bus ride.
Do you think they travel Saturday night up to that game, or do you think they travel like Sunday at noon? I bet they travel Sunday at noon. I mean, because
Probably.
shoot,
it's like a 3-hour drive.
No, we've made that drive. So from Cincinnati to Canton, where our grandparents live, is 4.5, 5 hours, and then Cleveland's an hour north of Canton. But because it's diagonal,
I was gonna say like Cincinnati's here, and I want to say Canton's here, and then Cleveland's here. So you're going at a different.
Cleveland is just Canton, like that, maybe 45 minutes to an hour. Yeah, and Cincinnati is in the bottom left, and Cleveland is in the top right of the state. So it is a diagonal shot. Driving wise. Yeah, so but you have to go through Columbus.
6-hour drive.
Yeah. So 6-hour drive, I mean, it couldn't be more than a 30-minute flight.
Oh no.
Yeah. So,
I doubt they fly.
No, I bet they fly, but that's what I was asking. I bet they leave at 9:00 a.m. Sunday morning. I bet they get a hotel in Cincy Saturday night, the same one that I bet they stay at on their home games, so then everything's normal. Get on a plane, quick flight up to Cincinnati or up to Cleveland, and then it's like, okay, all right, we're here. Maybe 9's even too early for a Monday night football game. You know?
Yeah.
So,
but let's talk about the game here really quick. Cincinnati looked explosive against the Falcons.
Yeah.
I know it was a decimated secondary, But that offensive line seemed to have figured some things out because the Falcons actually do have a pretty good front. They only gave up 2 sacks, and one of them was to a Pro Bowler and Grady Jarrett. To me, Cleveland does not have that weapon right now because Myles Garrett is battling a ton of injuries. So I think Cincinnati wins this one fairly easily. I think it'll be a 42-28-esque game. I hope that is 6 touchdown passes by Joe Burrow because I have him in fantasy. But Joe Mixon in this run game seemed to have figured a few things out as well last week. So
that's going to be the thing that I'm really watching on. Is so yes, Joe Burrow threw for 4 touchdowns. It was the Cincinnati Bengals that we expected. Can they now have consistent weeks of this where they have a pure offensive line and then an absolutely unstoppable offense? And because the Falcons
gave them fits last season. Sorry to interrupt, but
no, you're good. And the Falcons didn't have AJ Terrell, their number 1 corner. They didn't have Casey Hayward, the number 2 corner.
I mean, they didn't even have their number 4 corner at the end of the game. They got decimated.
So not to give excuse, Bengals were going to win that game. Anyways, I'm saying that because they did this against a scrub secondary. Now, can they do it against the Browns secondary, which isn't half bad, which isn't awful? Bengals should win this game, and I have them winning as well. They're clearly the better team. Jacoby Brissett, who I think started out strong, but now the Browns have really had some struggles for consistency from him. That's side of the ball. They're definitely one-dimensional. I think they're looking forward to when that massage guy comes back. And so I think that Cincinnati wins this game. I agree. I think it's going to be a higher scoring because I do think this offense found something. And that's what I'm definitely going to be looking forward on. Even if they lose this game somehow, if this offense can be consistent and be the explosive Bengals offense that we know it can be with the improved offensive line, but then let's say their defense just doesn't show up or Nick Chubb has the game of his life, then that's a separate conversation. But if the Bengals lose this game and it's because it's a 13-10 game and their offense is absolutely anemic, then I'm going to have some concerns of consistency and be like, what's going on? What's the bigger issue here? So, I had the Bengals winning this game.
The Bengals had a good performance 2 weeks ago against the New Orleans Saints. And they put up 33, I think.
30. They won 30-26. They had
that's right.
Yeah, Joe Burrow had a last-second drive. Not a last-second, but like a 4-minute drive, essentially. Like that.
To Jamar Chase.
Yeah.
I remember that, so they have had a couple weeks in a row of offensive success against good defensive fronts. I know New Orleans has a better defense than Atlanta, but still, I think Cincinnati comes out victorious. I like the direction that they're going. They look more like the Cincinnati from last year. So yeah.
So it should be a good week. We have some good games. Only 2 teams on byes this week. We have 15 games. Chiefs are on a bye. Chargers are on a bye. Chargers definitely needed the bye. We talked about that last night.
Yeah.
And so, but 15 games. We've got a close matchup going on. I just like the fact that we're both above 500 by a decent bit.
Yeah.
I'm 21 games up by 500. You're only 7 games up, but you have been on the right trend. You have had solid weeks in a row. I think
you're 11. You're 11. How are you? Oh, that is 21.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. 37. 37 losses from last week. So 31. I didn't make an error, did I? In the past weeks, 24.
No, that's right. I'm just trying to the math in my head. I was like, you're 7 up on me, so that should only be you should only be 14. No. But you take 7 off both sides, and then there's 7 in the middle. So
week 2 was the week that really helped me out. I've been okay since then. I've been slightly above 500 or 500 every week. But week 2, I went 12-4, and that's what really separated my gap above 500. And then I think I've been 2 games above 500 every week with my picks. In some of these weeks, I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. Like last week, no way in their mother would you have picked Tampa Bay and Green Bay to lose both of those games last week. We both should have been 10-4. Come on. Like, absolutely come on.
Yeah.
I'm a little upset with my pick last week going with picking the Chargers against Seattle, only just because, like, as I was picking it, it's like I still don't trust this team, and the Chargers are still the Chargers, and it wasn't even a game. It wasn't even like the Seahawks just dominated that game. Chargers looked awful, and a lot of it has to do just with how all their injuries, like Justin Herbert, has no protection whatsoever.
Yeah. It
But
looks
we're
like 2
both
years
doing
ago.
well. Yeah, we're both doing well, and I'm curious to kind of see where we're at by the end of the year. I would love. So after this week, what's my losses at right now? I'm at 43. If I could, I don't know about you, but like if I could be at less than 100 games picked incorrectly, I think that's a hugely successful season.
Oh, yeah.
That's going to
One of the
be
things I will say too, as the season goes on, I think it'll be easier to pick the games because we'll really see. We'll get a better feel for it.
maybe, but then at the same time though, we're going to have these divisional games. They're going to be tough. Then
Yeah.
at the same time, we're going to have these know nothing like top 5 pick games.
Yeah.
And like
That's fair.
that's going to be very tough, I think, for both of us to pick. So we'll just have to see. I mean, and then we have a team like the Falcons who, let's say they get on a run, but then even then, they can easily go and lose to a team like the Saints. Or they can go lose to the Panthers on the road whenever they play. I think it's in a couple weeks in that game. So it's like those are going to be tough games. Like Falcons should win that game on paper as of right now, but I could absolutely see them blowing it because it's the NFL. They're all professionals. So I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm excited for this week. I'm ready to start watching football again, even though it just ended yesterday. So I think we're going to end it here. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. Hit that bell notification so we can send you guys a notification every single time that we go live. And other than that, we'll see you guys next time.